Teachers, greetings. My name is Stephen Gonzalez. I serve as Chief Justice of the Washington Supreme Court. We appreciate you. We share your goal of an educated public, and we've partnered over the many years of our shared history to meet that goal in a variety of ways. Here, briefly, one of my colleagues, Justice Mary Yu, and one of our court staff, who is also a teacher, share information to help you make teaching and learning about the courts simple and enjoyable as they share resources and talk about our Judges in the Classroom program. In this program, judges from around the state will come to your classroom virtually or in person on Constitution Day or any other day during the school year to deliver lessons that were jointly created by teachers and judges on issues that matter to your students and fit with your curriculum. I wish you a wonderful year and thank you for all you do.
Justice Yu, I've heard you say that September is the busiest month for the justices and the courts. What month do you think most teachers say is the busiest?
Oh, I'm guessing it's the same. I'm guessing that every teacher right now is preparing, and that's a busy time for teachers.
Yes.
But I would say September is probably the busiest because they're actually now gearing up and going and they're in action. So I'm guessing that at the same time as we're going, they're going too.
You're one for one. All right, here's another one. What year would you say in recent history is the most challenging for teachers?
I would say today, and when I say today, I mean probably the school year of 21-22 will be the toughest, the hardest, and the busiest. And I think it's because teachers are being asked to teach the same curriculum, but in a different environment. They're utilizing different tools, and they may be teaching remotely. So I would guess this is the most challenging time in history for teachers, and we're sensitive to that, and we want to be able to offer some help.
You are 2 for 2, and here's one I think you're going to get because you're a state Supreme Court justice. What day is Constitution Day?
Well, you know, every day's Constitution Day for a Supreme Court justice.
That's
every
a great
single
answer.
day. But you know, we celebrate it nationally in September. Generally, it's been September 17th. Sometimes it's shifted depending on the day. But you know, I'm kidding, and yet I'm not, in the sense that every day is an opportunity to reflect on what the Constitution means for each person who lives in the state of Washington. You know, we have a state constitution and a federal constitution, and your state Supreme Court focuses on the state constitution, and we interpret that. So for me, yeah, every day is Constitution Day in the state of Washington.
So if it's the busiest month, the busiest year, the most challenging year, and there's Constitution Day, and every day matters about the Constitution, what can we do for teachers?
Well, you know, here's what I think we can offer teachers. First of all, is we can offer a lot of creative lesson plans, just practical tools that will help teachers teach young people about being responsible citizens of the state of Washington, about civics, about government. But more importantly, we can offer teachers a judge in your classroom. And if we're able to appear in person, we want to do so. But if not, we now are very comfortable appearing remotely via Zoom and coming right into your classroom and interacting with your students. And so we'll offer a judge in a classroom upon invitation.
Wow, that's fantastic. So judges will come into our classrooms, they'll deliver the lesson, and is this a lesson that's going to meet the standards of clear objectives and state standards and something for the students to show their learning and get them engaged and take place in 50 minutes?
Well, the lesson plans clearly would meet the standards. We always say that our judges offer even more. They'll offer real life stories. They'll come in maybe even with their robe and a gavel to explain the real import, right, of the robes that we wear in the state of Washington and why they're black. And I'm confident that our judges will offer more even than the standards.
I have to confess, I have heard that teachers love it and students love it because it's great to have someone else in, someone in a different profession. And I guess I'm kind of curious, Why do the judges love it so much? I know how busy everyone is. Why do the judges and justices that do this love coming into their classrooms, remotely or in person?
Well, you know, the first thing is that we like people, and we
Yes.
especially like young people. But you know, we have a vested interest in having an educated electorate. It's really important that for people to accept what we do in our branch, that they need to understand government. They need to understand the various roles that each branch plays. And so at the end of the day, we want this young person to grow up into an adult who says, I want to serve on a jury. I will absolutely vote. Yes, I want to participate in every decision that I can possibly participate. Yes, I want to read every decision the Supreme Court issues. And so for us, it begins at a very young age. We really believe that a good community is made up of informed, educated people who care about their government.
There's lesson plans for every grade level in all different topics. There's even mock trials and hearings. And can you remind us, how does a teacher get a judge to come in and do this?
Just invite us. You can pick up the phone, call your local judge. You can contact the administrative office of the courts online, in person. You can just let us know, and we'll find a judge that will meet your needs and be available. And I can tell you those lesson plans work. I have utilized some of those lesson plans with people as young as kindergarten and first grade, and it works. They're designed to work. But all you need to do is let us know, and we'll respond.
And I've got to ask you, I carry around my pocket U.S. Constitution. I have not been able to find a pocket Washington State Constitution, but I know it's so much longer. Why is the Washington State Constitution so much longer? And if people want to compare Washington State and the U.S. Constitution, would you recommend that they get onto the iCivics Washington page and look for some lessons about that there?
Yeah, and we'll start there. And absolutely, iCivics has some great tools that will contrast and compare the two constitutions. You can download a copy of either as well.
So you're making me think that if there's so much more to the state constitution, that your job as a state Supreme Court justice is actually harder than a U.S. Supreme Court justice because there's more to interpret.
I wouldn't say harder, because I do think the United States Supreme Court works very hard. I would say it's far more complicated, and for us it really matters that we remain faithful to what our original drafters intended in terms of looking at our state constitution and looking at what they were looking at when they saw it. At the same time, what everybody will recognize is that a state constitution can be flexible to the local environment, to what's going on in the state, to the concerns of the people. So we have some flexibility, and we can be more protective of certain rights that people say are important in the state of Washington.
So I know you have to get back to work, and I sure appreciate the conversation, and I do have one final question. What is the favorite part of your job?
You know, for me, the favorite part of my job is writing. And the reason why is after we hear a case at oral argument, we discuss it, and the court decides how we want to decide the case, and then a justice gets the writing assignment. And because I recognize how important every comma is, every period, every single word is very important, so that in the future somebody's going to read it and understand it. I like wrestling with those words. We want every word to have meaning, and so for me it's a challenge, and I enjoy that the most, is just sitting there and thinking and tweaking. Should it be a comma or should it be a semicolon?
Well, I know all the teachers can appreciate that, and students too. Thank you so much for your
Nicole,
time.
thank you. We want to come to the classroom, so please help teachers to invite us.